Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Hello.
Uncle Mo here, coming at you from Planet Calypso. We're gonna do a crafting video today. As promised, the point of this video is just to let people know who haven't played the game before, just kind of how crafting works, very basically. All right, this isn't a how-to, and there's certainly a lot more experienced crafters out there. But I made a few things, so I can talk about it a little bit. I just, like I said, just to have a little bit of an overview on how it works. First of all, to even consider crafting this game, you need a huge ped card. You need a lot of cash. The items that you need to buy are expensive. Obviously, you know, I'm a miner by trade. I sell all those ores and that matters at markup. Well, crafters are the ones that buy them, and then they need to make their wares, mark that up, and resell those in order to make a profit. And that's how the cycle works. So you can kind of see just right off the start that in order to get started crafting, you need a huge bed card. A lot of the items you make will end up sitting on your shelves for a while. You won't be able to sell them, so you got to have a ton of float. And a lot of crafters, obviously, they'll have a shop somewhere, a store, things like that. They'll try to sell things out of their apartment. Or not out of their apartment, but there's some apartment complexes have little stores at the bottom. So a lot of players own those. You can buy wares from there. Find some good deals sometimes too. So if you're just getting into the game and you just wanted to try crafting a little bit, and you got a bunch of pled to play with, and again, I don't recommend crafting at all unless you have a ton of money, because it's going to eat you up. But I'm a miner and I use amps on occasion, and I want to be able to make those. Those are an attachment, so I wanted to start crafting attachments in order to really just make them for myself rather than have to buy them from other people, and hopefully do it a little bit cheaper than what they're actually selling for. So a lot of folks, what you'll need to do is visit a technician. Here's a technician right here. Sometimes a technician will be a terminal in some areas, but you know, anything that says technician, and you'll get a bit of a window here. And by the way, you can hear the little horns going off in the background. There's people all the big crafters hang out here, and no, we'll go over that in a minute. But whenever they global or off or something like that, you tend to hear it and hear it quite often. But at any rate, so if you want to start crafting, you'd start with a technician, and a lot of the crafted items are made of components. So you'd want to go ahead and purchase your basic component blueprints. Alright, these will help you get started. And these are just a few to get you started. There's plenty more on the auction house right next door here that you can buy. Plenty more of the other blueprints too, and they can get quite expensive. But if you're just starting out and you just want to make a few things, you can certainly start with that. Once you buy a blueprint, you'll need to buy a book in order to put it in, and you can see there's all kind of books and whatnot that each class of blueprint will fit into. And also, a lot of the planets have different blueprints and different books that are associated with them, and you'll want to craft those items on the other planet. Right now, the way the game is set up, the way it's been explained to me, if you're crafting items, these are Calypso type items. If you're crafting those items, you'll want to be on that planet so you can possibly get a BP back. And that's a blueprint. The way you generate and build up your blueprint stash or collection is to just start crafting. And one of the byproducts of crafting is you'll get more blueprints. So a lot of people, in fact, will just craft just to kind of farm for blueprints. It's a very expensive way to go. You'll lose a lot of ped doing that. But that's how more blueprints are generated in the game. I've already got a bit of a collection to get us started. We're just going to do a few basic things just to kind of go over. It's just some basic crafting, alright? Now, a lot of people will start with some components. This is a level 1, volume 1 component book. Alright, and if we just go to page 1, you got all the little pages down here. And again, I just right clicked on that and opened. Alright, and basic filters here is a popular one to get started. And I should really stop myself at this point. To even to get started crafting, I had to spend a lot of time skill repairing on a spaceship. Now, what is that? What there is in the game is there's these motherships. They fly around in the game, fly players back and forth from planet to planet, and all those motherships have certain areas that when they're attacked, they'll need repairing by a vehicle repair kit. All right, and when you do that over and over again, then what's going to happen is you will start building up skills. The most important one that you'll build up is engineering. Okay, engineering is very important to have to start crafting. What engineering does is it will increase the chances that you'll have a successful craft. All right, and there's a sliding kind of percentage, which I'm about to show you here. But once you get your engineering level high enough, you'll also get another skill called blueprint comprehension, which it'll basically help from what I understand, this is what players have explained to me, that it'll help your blueprints level up faster. Every blueprint has a certain level to it, which will also increase the slider at which your success rate depends on, which I'm about to show you here. But so yeah, that takes a little while to get. You can purchase those skills and just implant them, or what you'll do is you'll do some repair skilling on a mothership, and I'll try and do a little video on that for you. There's not much to it. It'll be a pretty dull video, but yeah, a lot of players will. It might be equivalent to, I don't know, have you ever played Darkfall and sat on a blood wall, something cheeky like that, or did something where you're just kind of skilling up repeatedly. I'm sure some other sandbox type games have that kind of concept where skills are important. That's pretty much what it is. So, at any rate, back to it. So you've got your blueprint comprehension, a bunch of PED, and you want to get started. A lot of players will also craft to build up skills. And basic filters. It uses one Listerium ingot, one oil. And Listerium sells for about a markup. It's usually 109, 110. Oil is very, very cheap. You can get it usually for 101. And as a miner, I get it quite often. It's kind of annoying to get because it takes a while to mine up. But at any rate, the mats for this particular blueprint are quite cheap. Now, what are these components? Components are craftable items that'll go into actual final product items, alright? So if we get into my attachments, what I make a lot is level 5 amplifiers and these will go into your mining finders to amplify your claims. And we can take a look at the recipe here for that. Obviously this takes quite a few materials, and down here it'll take a component called basic coils. So I would have to craft basic coils right here first in order to be able to go ahead and craft our final product. And there's a whole tree, a whole kind of list of recipes and whatnot. Good website I want to recommend is Bob the Builder. They have an excellent website it'll basically take all your craftable every item you have on hand. You can excuse me, you can look up on your account, all right, and it'll list all your items. If you copy paste that to Bob the Builder, it'll look up all your blueprints and all your materials and tell you what you can make, which is really useful because you end up building up this pile of blueprints and materials and you have no idea which direction to go. So, at any rate, Bob the Builder, I'll be sure to link that in descriptions. You'll need that if you're going to do any type of crafting. But at any rate, so I just wanted to go ahead and craft, here's our construction machine up here, if you can see that. And that'll bring up this type of window. And the way it works is, let's say I want to start, leveling up today with basic filters. The first thing we want to look at is the quality rating here will start out at basically 0. And it levels up from there. As you can see, I've made quite a few of them. The blueprints will max out at 100. And this is your percentage success bar right here, this green thing. This will determine what percentage you'll have a success rate, and successes will include partial successes and actual full successes where you craft the item that you're intending to make. The next thing to note here is you got this bar here, quantity, condition, and if you move it, you can see your success bar will either go up or way down. A lot of people will set this bar depending on what they're crafting, okay? For instance, if they want to go for... When you set your bar at full quantity here, you're going to get your main product more often, but less of it. Alright, whatever it is you're crafting, you'll get it more often, but less of it. Or you'll be able to craft it, but at only at a percentage, at a reduced TT percentage. And I'll try and demonstrate that here with our next craftable item and with this item as well. A lot of folks, if they really care about the item they want, they'll craft on full quantity. If they're trying to do a little bit of gambling, when you set it to condition here, you'll get more of your final product, but you'll have a success rate that's much lower. And a lot of folks will try and do this. They think you can either global more often or HOF. They'll go for a big Hall of Fame. When you craft these items, if you're successful, there's a chance that you'll be overly successful. That not only will you craft your item, but you'll be refunded a ton of metal residue or f.o.m.a residue, whatever you're making, over and above beyond that will have value. And I'll show you what that residue is in a minute. That's an important part of crafting. But I just want to do a few basic crafts here. We need oil and Listerium. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some Listerium, and we'll throw in some oil. And we'll just start manufacturing here until we can get a couple successes. We're going to start at full quantity. Alright? Near success. So we got close. Gave us some of our materials back in metal residue. Now, residue is a byproduct of crafting. You're going to see a lot of metal residue, f.o.m.a residue, animal oil residue. It depends on whatever it is you're making. Will determine what is the output. All right, and this residue will be important here later on in crafting, which I'm about to demonstrate. And we had a successful here. So for the cost of 1 oil, 1 Listerium, we made 5 basic filters, and it has a value of 0.05. Alright, let's do a few more. So we made 5 of those, right? Made 6 that time. And if you got like 1,000 clicks to do, you can click this auto mode and then click manufacture and go take a nap or whatever you got to do. Now, a lot of folks will craft items that they don't even really care about the end item. They want to try and go for a ton of that residue return, and that'll come in the form of a global or a Hall of Fame type jackpot. All right. Now I've set it to full condition here. Failure, and we're going to see a lot more failures now. Okay, and every time you fail, you lose whatever it is. Okay, you lose one. In this case, it's 1 oil, 1 Listerium. It just goes away, and that's something that every time you fail, even no matter where your bars say, you got to factor that into your costs of the actual end product. So we'll try and keep going here until we can get a success, which could take a while. There is if you look at, I think it's Entropia.com, some folks have tried to map the percentage success rate as this bar goes up and down, and it goes anywhere, I think from 4% all the way down here up to, this is your 90%, but down here is like your 40, 30% range. There's a map on that, look it up. But you're really not going to get a feel for it until you play with it. And notice here we're failing a lot. These materials are just going away. And I want to wait until we get a success here. I hope I don't have to turn the video off. This could turn into a boring one, watching a bunch of failures. The next item I'm going to be showing you is the level 5 amplifier that I use to go mining with. Those are pretty pricey to make, but they do sell quite well, and I do use them a lot. So I'm just trying to use that sales and use the actual crafting process to kind of get, I don't know if it's going to be free amps, but definitely less than what you pay for them. Come on, one success for the people. This is what crafting on condition is like. Eating up materials. Bye. Even this is kind of a little bad run here. But, when you're down in the 4 to 6% range here, it gets a little tough. Gonna try and knock out 2 more videos this weekend, including this one. I made one last night for Mrs. Fishsticks at her little party up there. I think she's recovering just fine. I think we fed her some booze. She had fun though. I'm gonna pump this up just a little bit here, just to get one success. Not a near success. I need a full one. There we go. Okay. So, as you can see, instead of 5 or 6 filters, as we move the slider down, now we got 17. It took us longer to get it, obviously. We got a little residue back, and we got a blueprint. Alright, so this is a blueprint you can sell or keep it in your book. It's for metal ruds. I've already got this one, but maybe somebody else doesn't have it and I can sell it. The TT value on blueprints is usually 1 pack. So a lot of times, if you could sell this for 1 ped, that's obviously a nice markup there. So these are definitely worth some money, especially the higher level ones. Now I want to get into just a little bit of the final product crafting, just to show you how the residue works. So we're going to go back to our blueprint book and open up. We want that level 5 amplifier so I can do some mining later on. And we'll just click on our construction machine again, click on the blueprint. And as you can see, I need a whole list of ingredients now. Need some basic coils, textilsterium, ganganite, narc, blouse, and survey probes. Now on top of that, now I can start crafting now. And I'll just kind of show you what happens. We're at full quantity now. There's a near success. So this is now we're crafting a component, or kind of a final item, which is different than manufacturing the, it's different from manufacturing the components we just did. Now we had a success there. This is a level 5 amplifier, but as you can see, it's only worth 36 ped, and it should be able to contain 200 ped. When people buy amplifiers, they want a nice full one, so they don't have to keep replacing it. Now this amplifier is perfectly good. I can stick it in an amplifier right now, and it will work. But it's just not a popular way to sell them. Nobody's going to buy them that way. So how do we fill up that gap? Well, one way is to take this bar and throw it all the way down to condition. And that'll probably get it up to, your average success rate will be in the 120 ped range, which still doesn't fill it up, even all the way down at full condition. This is a big item to make. Now, some amplifiers on full condition, they'll fill right up, but here, yeah. Not to mention, on full condition, I can't afford to take the level of failures that eats up all these materials here. Now, the average return on both of these settings here should be about the same. It's just your variance that changes when you crank it all the way down. Now, a lot of veterans will probably pipe up at that point and they'd be like, oh, wait a minute, that's not quite true. Folks, a lot of people that with millions of ped have just done tons of studies on this, and there's a bunch of crafting links on forums where they crafted 100,000 items and give you the results. So you can do a little more research on it, but just in general, condition is going to be, your successes will be less often, but you'll make either more of your crafted item or your TT value will increase from there. And on quantity, you'll be much more successful, but your output will be much, much lower. So it's a give and take either way. This is a very low variance way to craft here, or high variance. This is low variance on quantity. We'll go over variance a little bit in I think a little gambling video coming up for you. So at any rate, I don't craft these on full condition. The other way to fill this bar up is to insert some residue. That byproduct that we had earlier will build up after a while. And as you can see, I've got about almost 200 TT worth of residue there. So now we can add that to this product. Now, the residue that you can add is determined by the items that it's crafted of. As you can see here, this is made of all metal. So I should be able to only use metal residue, except the basic coils here have an f.o.m.a in them, so I can use f.o.m.a residue, which is cool. It's good to know. They both sell for about 108% markup, but if you can use both and one of them's 1% cheaper, you save yourself a little pet. Buy the cheaper one. They'll both work the same. So now we want to go for that level 5 amp again. Almost at it that time. Now we're crafting on full quantity with residue in. And we'll get a success here in a minute. Or we'll be here all day again. Who knows? Welcome to crafting, folks. Almost. Near successes are better than nothing. At least you don't lose all your materials. You get something back, which is important. There's a failure. That stinks. Come on. I'll just make the damn thing. I'm having a bad run here. A lot of times you make 2 or 3 or 4 of these right in a row. You can tell that even though we're on full quantity, it just doesn't mean you're going to make your item right away. There's a percentage of fail here. And also, the game considers success, like I said earlier, your partial successes, and I'm out of narcotisming it. Oh, what a bad video here. So now I gotta go buy more narcotism. Well, I'm gonna save you all the trouble here. What happens is, when you do have a success, this f.o.m.a will go away here, and you'll end up with a full product that looks like this. Okay, level 5 finder, nice and full with 200 ped of ammo. Okay, so that's how the process works, folks. Last thing I'd point out, a lot of people will craft items just to gamble. I could have made that level 5 amplifier, and easily it could have been worth 10,000 ped. All of a sudden you'd get a Hoff. And it's a very, very rare occurrence. What would happen is I would get my full 200 TT amplifier and then 9,800 worth of residue back as a bonus. So a lot of people will gamble and go for that. They'll use these blueprints like a slot machine, basically. Or if you've ever been drunk in Vegas and you go to the Keno bar and it says you can play 10 to 1,000 games. Sometimes we'll do that. We'll land in Vegas and we're hammered, so we'll buy a few hundred Keno games over the weekend, and by the time we're done, we'll see how much money's there. It kind of works the same way, all right? Other than that, I just want to reiterate, it takes a lot of money to craft. You need just a crap load of ped. Not all the items you make are going to sell very easy, so you're going to have a bunch of stuff in your inventory, possibly, depending on what you make. I wouldn't touch it as a new player. Just get in, hunt, craft, build up some inventory, and if you got a few thousand ped that's lying around with a product and you decide, you know what, I kind of like weapons, or I kind of like armor. I wish I could make them myself. Then you can give it a shot. Me, I'm a miner, so I want to make those mining amplifiers. And there's some other attachments you can make, weapon attachments, things like that. So, at any rate, that's a basic overview of crafting. Leave questions or comments if you want. I'll try and answer them the best I can. I'm not the most experienced crafter out here, but I've definitely lost enough pet on it to sort of do an introductory video on it. And at any rate, hope you enjoyed the video. Do subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Alright, folks? Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.